Well, well, well. Hello, hello. Hey you guys, it's MJ and welcome back to Pet Adventures again. Today is going to be a very quick, awesome pet care video. That's probably a lie. Most of my pet care videos are pretty long, so I'm lying to you as we speak. Why do you even trust me? Anyways, today is a straight up care video, and side note here, like always, today is your last chance to get votes in on what you want done with the shirts, because very soon, from a few days to a week, I am going to be officially ordering the shirts to come to my house. Once they're here, I'm putting them on my site and everything is going to be ready to go. So this is your last chance to tell me what colors you want the shirts to come in and what sizes you would like my shirts that I'm making to come in. So get your votes in now, because this is going to be the very last chance you can do it. So you better do it. And without further ado, today we are going to be talking about Cuban Night Anole Care. Now, I decided to do this video because at first I didn't want to do this kind of video, because I know that Cuban Night Anoles are not a very common lizard to get. Most people get bearded dragons, they get, crested geckos, leopard geckos, ball pythons, like all these kind of reptiles that even I have, okay? But all these kind of reptiles, and you just never see Cuban Night Anoles mentioned. And reason for that being is because Cuban Night Anoles, they are not really high priced on the market, because you can literally find them in Florida. I found like 3 at the zoo when I went to the zoo the other day. Speaking of which, I got a little sunburn going on here, but you can find Cuban Night Anoles pretty much anywhere. And if you live in Florida, they're not as common as the little tiny anoles that you see everywhere, but they're here in Florida, they're in Cuba, and they're in a few other places as well. I think I heard that they might be invading Hawaii or something, I'm not too sure. Either way, I told myself I wouldn't make this care video because no one's going to watch it, and who knows, maybe no one will. But who's to say that somebody wouldn't find a Cuban Night Anole just like I did, and in their backyard, and raise it up as a baby and to decide to take care of it. Who's to say someone's not gonna do that? I don't know. We really don't know. But either way, if you're in trouble and you're having trouble with your Cuban Night Anole that you probably found in your backyard, this video is going to help you out a ton. I remember when I first got Igor, there were so many struggles because there was so little information on Cuban Night Anoles. It was terrible. I hated it. I could not find enough research on it. But today, that is all going to end. That crap is going to end. So first of all, Cuban Night Anoles are basically an anole. They're a anole species. If you don't know what an anole is, it's basically just a tiny lizard that is around Florida quite a lot, and Cuba, and basically really tropical areas. You see them everywhere here in Florida. And there is basically a bigger species of those anoles called Cuban Night Anoles. Their maximum size is a bit smaller than a bearded dragon, but it's very close. So I think it's at least a foot. And they're pretty cool lizards. Here's the thing with Cuban Night Anoles, this is going to cover their temperament. They are pretty, I don't want to say aggressive, but they are a pretty aggressive species. So they are not handling species. If you're looking for a lizard to handle all the time, this will never be a handling pet. Now, can you get Cuban Night Anoles to get used to you a bit? Yes, but I personally have never had anything good come from handling Igor from when he was a baby to even now. And personally, I just found that I would just stop stressing him out and never handle him unless I really had to. The only times I've handled him now in his adult life is when I've needed to medicate him in the past or when I needed to clean his cage. So as far as temperaments goes, you can probably get these guys to eat from the tongs and stuff. You can definitely like hand feed them, but you know, with tongs and stuff like that. And you can, well yeah, that's basically all you can do. But they're a wonderful pet to observe. Even though I never get to touch Igor, I can't imagine my pet collection being around without him. I would be devastated if I lost Igor, which is why I took him to the vet before. I can't bear the thought of losing him, and he's just become this lizard that I'm probably more attached to more than any lizard. I haven't had Igor as long as I've had Diagon, but almost as long. And Diagon is my leopard gecko, and I am just more attached to Igor. I don't know if I feel like Ig has like more personality. I don't really know, but either way, I love Igor. Even my boyfriend really likes Igor. We like watching him and all the funny little things that he does every now and then in his cage. So now, by sexing Cubanite Anoles, it's very, very simple. The females will usually have a dewlap that is white, or they will have a dewlap that's not even there. They won't have a dewlap. And the males will have a pink dewlap, and usually males tend to also get bigger, but you won't really know for a while. So with sexing, the females are usually more scrawnier, a bit slimmer, and like I said, they'll have a white dewlap or no dewlap at all. Cubanite Anoles only range in 2 colors basically, and that is green, which is what you always will see, and there's been rare morphs like yellow ones, but that is extremely rare. I can't even tell you. Bite will hurt a lot. Their jaw strength is amazingly well. It's probably that's probably what makes their bite so bad. I have never personally been bitten by a Cubanite Anole, thankfully, but I imagine that it is just like a tokay gecko bite, which was the worst bite I've ever gotten in my life. And those geckos have very large mouths, and they're always very bitey. But so yeah, be aware that when you touch your Cubanite Anole, if you're going to pick it up or anything like that, literally just get it out with a towel or a glove. You do not want these guys biting you. It is going to hurt. Luckily, most of the time when Cubanite Anoles open their mouth, it's just a big bluff. They are straight insectivores, so all you'll be giving them is crickets and worms. Crickets dusted with calcium, and then possibly a bowl of worms left in their cage. That's what I do with Ig. I just feed him mealworms because I have this skeptical thing about the worm being able to eat from the inside out of the lizard. I've heard of that. I don't even know if it's completely true. Some people said that they swear by their leopard gecko being killed by superworms. So I use straight up mealworms. You don't have to do that. I personally just do that though because I have a straight up like paranoia of something happening to one of my lizards through superworms. So I feed mealworms to literally all my lizards, my reptiles, you know. So, but people say superworms are perfectly fine for lizards that can completely kill and chew down their food. So you're probably going to be okay if you want to feed superworms also to your Cubanite Anole. Next is caging. Caging is pretty large. You're going to have to get a 30-gallon tank at least or bigger. Now you can get a 30-gallon tank as an Exoterra, or you can get a 30-gallon tank tall. But whatever you get, make sure that it is a tank that's going to be taller rather than wider. Of course you want it to be wide, but taller is the main thing. Cubanite Anoles never like to be on the ground. They don't like the ground. They are an arboreal species, meaning they like to be high up in trees. If you see a Cubanite Anole in the wild, you will never catch them down on the ground. Now, does this mean that they will never go to the ground if you put a water bowl down there? No, because that's what I have done before, and he did tend to go down and drink when he liked. Do they prefer to have water high up? Of course. Providing a water source for your night anole is very simple. All you have to do is mist the cage daily so that they can drink off of the glass and their little fake plants and stuff like that, and get a ledge that is magnified to the glass high up in the little cage. I have something called a Repti-Ledge that I got straight off Amazon. Links will be down below. Also, I forgot to mention that you're going to need a bowl of calcium also in the cage. I do this and it just helps. The reason why you want to do this is so that your lizard has no chance of getting metabolic bone disease. I use me some Repti-Calcium. Repti-Calcium lasts forever. Literally, I bought this a long time ago and it's still around. And it comes with this little spoon that's super cute. Oh god. Yeah, you do have to watch out for calcium though, because this stuff will get all over the place. Now for the most crucial and important parts of caring for any reptile, the heating and lighting source. All you'll need for a Cuban night anole is a dome that will hold a UVB light and a heat light. UVB is so that they can, get the UV rays that they also get from the sun, so that their bones don't become all mushy and so they don't get the metabolic bone disease. And the heat is straight up for digestion. You really want to emphasize on this. If they don't have the proper heating, they cannot digest any food that they've eaten. Your heat spot must reach at least 80 degrees and you don't want it to go over, like, I would say like 95 or anything like that. Right now my degrees is at 90.5 Fahrenheit. So even that's okay, 90.5 Fahrenheit. That's totally normal. And keep in mind that, let me see if I could show you. This right here, this is how I monitor his heating. Now this is very important when it comes to a Cuban night anole. You have to monitor their I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Gotta monitor these guys on everything, especially the heat. So I'm always updated with what it's like in his cage. And the UV wattage doesn't really matter just as long as it's not like super duper high. I believe the watt I have for Igor is like 25 watts, something like that. But you really shouldn't go anything over that, I would say. It also depends on the size of the enclosure, but a 25 watt should be fine for like a 30-gallon tank for your heating. And like I said, the UV, you don't want it to be super low, but not super high either. Like, you don't want it like 110, some crap like that. I also have a heat bulb that is a strict night light, and here's my trick to this. Most people don't do this, but this can also work with bearded dragons. Now, people might hate on me for this, but I know true to its nature, this 100% works, and I will never change no matter what anyone says in the comments on how I care for my Cuban night anole or a bearded dragon as well. I feel like this is kind of the same. I keep a heat light on 24/7 every single day, all day. Here's how I do it. I have a night light that stays on 24/7, and I just have my my UV light on for, I think it's like 8 hours in the day. I'm not too sure, something like that. 8 hours at least for the UVB rays. You could probably do even 9. But I have it for around that many hours, and then it turns off. So you are probably going to need a timer for these guys. That's what I have it on. My UV light is on a timer, so it goes on and off at a certain time in the day. And of course, just always try to replace your lights, or at least have other lights on hand throughout the year. So you can either change your heat lights and UV lights twice in a year, or you can just get a lot of the same UV and heat lights that you like to use on hand. You can just get a couple of those, so that way when it is time to replace it, you already have it on hand. But I get all my stuff on Amazon. My dome, my deep dome that I use is from Amazon. My lights are from Amazon. So I'll put all those links down below, and so is the bedding. So now onto bedding. Substrate that I like to use is just the strict cocoa peat that I always use for everything. It comes in a block form. I think it's also called Eco Earth or whatever, but anyways, links are going to be down below. So I get it from there, and I just use the whole block form. And for his 30-gallon tank, I think I just use like one whole like block thing. So you can use that because it holds a lot of humidity. These guys actually need a lot of humidity. It's very important to not let their enclosure dry out. Now, my whole room is insanely humid on its own because of all the tanks that I have. I have two 40-gallon tanks, and then I have like some betta fish tanks over here. So because of that, there's a lot of humidity in the air in my room. So even if Igor's bedding dries out, I have humidity in my room. But I gather not everyone's gonna have that. So just make sure that your substrate for your night anole is always humid. Always. And you can always add water to it and stuff like that to make sure that it doesn't dry out. Or you can mist the enclosure every single day at least. That'll help the enclosure to not dry out. Also, I forgot to mention with feeding, I like to feed Igor just about 4 times in the week. He really doesn't need much feeding. You can feed certain reptiles, I guess, every day, but it's not mandatory. When they are growing, when they're babies, it's very crucial to actually feed them every day. But when they're completely older and they're completely adults, and you know for sure, then you can just limit the feeding to like every other day or 4 times in the week. Like, it doesn't have to be crazy. You gotta remember, these animals do not eat every day in the wild, and they have a slow metabolism. I only clean Igor's cage once a month. Really, he doesn't need that much cleaning. He doesn't poop a ton, and you know, going basically most of the month without cleaning it is not really a big deal. I also sometimes spot clean. Like if I see a big mess in the cage, I just spot clean it as needed. So I don't really have to be doing a lot of cleaning. Cubanite anoles are not really messy lizards or anything like that. Bearded dragons are. So usually when someone gets a bearded dragon, I tell them you're probably gonna have to spot clean every day and then, you know, do a full cleaning once a week. But that's just because they're very messy lizards. Cubanite anoles are not that way at all. Basically, Cubanite anole care is like bearded dragon care mixed with chameleon care in one. So if you can imagine what that kind of care would be like, that's basically these guys. It's like half chameleon and half beardy care. It's a little weird, but it works. As for decor, as long as your Cubanite anole is not touching the ground and he has lots of vines and trees to be on, he'll be perfectly happy and he'll love it. I don't really feel like this is needed to talk about, but whatever. Of course, you're gonna need a top, so make sure you get a mesh top for your 30-gallon tank, or if you have an Exoterra, then that's all. You'll just need an Exoterra. Like I said, Cubanite anoles usually reach a foot, doesn't get bigger than that though, and that's only including a fully grown tail. But it's basically like to the tip of my finger, all the way to there, including like, you know, with the tail hanging down and everything. So it's basically like that. It's not crazy, but they do get quite large, so they can't have a 10-gallon, they can't have a 20-gallon. It's a 30-gallon tank or bigger, and I have a 30-gallon tank tall, not long. One more thing to mention here with the night anoles is they do live up to 15 to 20 years depending on how well you care for them. So if you do take a good amount of care to them, they'll be with you when like you're moving houses, when you're getting into college, you know, when you found your first job. Like, they'll be through it all. You know, you're probably not always gonna remember that they're there, but they're gonna be there in their little cage, in your room, in your waiting at home while you're at college, in your dorm. Like, they're gonna be everywhere. So take care of them. They're gonna be your friends for life. And remember, not a lot of handling. These guys get stressed out a lot, okay? It takes like me, I just put my hand in the cage and he's already running for the hills. So you really want to just like try to minimize the stress. Even staring at them too long can be a bit stressful for them. But you know, they're fun to watch, trust me. I watch Igor every day and he's always doing something cute, something funny, you know, something adorable in my opinion. And it's quite fun to feed these guys because they'll eat a lot. They'll actually even eat like a fuzzy or a pinky mouse if you want them to. That's not needed. They'll also eat like other small lizards, so be careful. A last thing that I'm going to talk about is breeding pairs and mates. There aren't really any cage mates that you need to be giving them. they will basically tear up another male night anole. And even if they have a female in their cage, if it's not the right time for breeding, they can even stress out the female and possibly hurt them as well. So you want to make sure that when you do a breeding pair, make sure that it's the right time for breeding and watch them regularly and make sure that they're okay. Honestly, I probably wouldn't even have the breeding pair together too long, so just a little thing there. And I think I forgot to mention that the humidity should be pretty high. You want to keep it at least, like, I would say 80% in the tank. So that is it. Cuban night anole care wrapped up in one video. And just a side note here, this is kind of sad, but this will be my last care video for a very long time that requires one of my pets. What I mean by that is I have done a care video for mice. I own mice. I've done a care video for rats. I have rats. You know, leopard geckos. I have leopard geckos. This was my very last pet to cover on for a care video, and it was ended with Igor. So, oh my gosh, it's a little sad, but I will tell you guys when I decide to get a new species of pet. But yeah, he's the last contestant. If you have any other questions on night anoles, maybe you caught it in your backyard and you live in Florida like me, or something like that, or who knows, maybe you're just looking into getting one now. They're super cheap online. They're like $15. So if you're looking to get them online and you're ordering them, this is gonna wrap everything up for you in one video. So I hope it helped you. Please leave me some comments down below on what reptile you want me to cover next in one of my future reptile videos. And don't forget to hit the little bell that notifies you every time I make a video. And please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and give this video a big thumbs up, especially if you love pets. And I will see you guys next time. Bye! What is that? What is that? You guys need to chill. Chill. You gonna chill? You gonna chill? You gonna chill? You gonna chill? I don't think they're chilling. In fact, they're always doing the opposite. Just sit still for 1 second. Did I mention that Slash is in a new tank? I don't think I told you guys that. He lives down here in Candy's old tank. He living the good life. You see? Down here. Come show him, Slash. Come here. Come here, Slash. Come here. Come here. Call him my mini dog. Call him my little mini dog. He loves it in here because there's like a little filter up there. Alright. I'm going to stop talking and end this video. Whoa. Bad close up. Bad, 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 bad. Bye.